All right, so triangle ABC, is it congruent to this other triangle? Well, let's see. I've got a side, then an angle in between them, and then they share this side. So that's side, angle, side. Just because it's a right triangle doesn't mean you're going to use hypotenuse leg. So triangle ABC, then I can say is congruent to, and I need to put the points in the same order. So A corresponds with C, B corresponds with D, and then C corresponds with A. So ABC corresponds to CDA. They have to be in the correct order. Triangle MGT. So MGT is this triangle here. So I know that TH and NG right here are congruent. So that means, so if you add the same amount GH onto each one, then TG and NH would have to be congruent as well. So we've got an angle, and then a side that corresponds. Or side, angle, angle. That's the same. So MGT corresponds to KHN in that order. And really I should put triangle here. Triangle, KHN. WXZ. So do these, can I say that these are congruent? Let's see, I've got parallel lines. These are parallel marks. They're not congruent marks. So it doesn't tell me that the sides, those sides are congruent. So I'm not going to use side, side, side. What these parallel lines give me are angle relationships. So if I extend these out, if you had a hard time picturing this, and there's my transversal. When I have parallel lines, then I have certain sets of angles that are congruent. So in this case, I have a pair of alternate interior angles right there that have to be congruent. I also have parallel lines going this way. So here's my transversal for those. So then my alternate interior angles would be that and that right there. Okay, so I actually have angle, and then of course they share this side. So angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle. And W, so I'm going to start over here, W, X, Z would correspond to Y, Z, X. Triangle Y, Z, X. Why aren't these triangles congruent? Well, that angle is congruent to that angle is congruent to that angle, and this side is congruent to itself. So that's three things. It's not just three angles. We also have a side. So why aren't they congruent? Well, maybe it's angle, side, angle. Or is it angle, angle, side? So these are actually two different arrangements of the three pieces of information. So you might say something about, one is angle, side, angle. The other is angle, angle, side. The congruent parts don't correspond. They aren't in the same places on the triangles. All right. Proof. So we're given all of this stuff. Most of you got that in there, so I'm not going to write that down. So what do I know? Well, I know I've got a side, I've got an angle there, so I need one more thing. And again, parallel marks don't mean the sides are congruent. So don't tell me it's a side and then a side and an angle. That rule doesn't work anyway. Where I have parallel lines, I'm going to have some pair of matching angles. So here are my parallel lines, here's my transversal. I've got this angle and that angle, and those are corresponding angles. So I have a side there, an angle there, and then I'm going to have another angle right here. So what's the other angle? It is angle TSR is congruent to angle QRP. And I know that because the corresponding angles are congruent if the lines that form them are parallel, which they are. So now I have an angle, a side, and an angle in that order. So by angle, side, angle, I know that triangle TSR, I can name them in the same order I named the those angles. That would be congruent to triangle QRP. And that's what I'm trying to prove. So I guess I should put them in the same order that I had them in the proof statement. There we go. Okay. So I'll write them as STR. It shouldn't really matter here as long as you have them in corresponding order. So SRT would correspond to R and P and Q, like so. Okay.